Hello, welcome or welcome back to the YarnNYarns YouTube channel. My name is Angela and all the places you can find me should be linked in the description box below this video. Here on the channel you'll find me chatting about my adventures in knitting, spinning, crochet and weaving, all of the fibre related things. Today's video is a 12 cast-ons make-along video. And the 12 cast-ons, if you're new to the channel, is a make-along that I host every year. There is a few playlists on my YarnNYarns YouTube page if you want to go and find out more about those make-alongs. Each year I cast on 12 projects to set myself up for my coming weeks, months, years worth of making. And for the last couple of years, after the initial round of cast-ons, which happens in December through to the end of January, I have been vlogging the progress that I make on each of the projects that I cast on. So where, when, how I work on all of the things that I've started. This vlog is actually a part 2 for one cast on that involved me starting multiple projects. This is part 2 of my Christmas socks vlog. As part of our 2025 cast-ons, on the first day of cast-ons, I decided to pull out all of my Christmas themed yarns, and that totaled 9 balls of yarn. I've already posted a vlog whereby I've finished the first 3 pairs of socks. Because there's 9, I thought it'd be fun to divide them up into 3 lots of 3. So this is part 2 of my Christmas socks making. It's the 15th of June as I'm recording this, and I have literally, as I'm recording this, just finished pair 2 and 3 for my first vlog. It's time to think about what socks I'm going to be making for my next 3 pairs. So in part 1 of this little series, if you've watched it, I knit a pair of striped tee socks, which is a pattern by General Hogbuffer, a plain pair of vanilla socks, and also some robin socks, which is a pattern by Stone Knits. It had a little bit of colour work, and I quite liked that mix. So one plain sock, one sort of pattern sock. I'm counting the striped tees as a pattern, although it's fairly straightforward. It's not just plain knitting, and then also something with a little bit of colour work. So I thought I might try and carry that formula through to this vlog as well. Been rummaging through my project bag where I've been keeping all of the yarns and the socks in waiting as it were, and refamiliarising myself with what I managed to start on day 1 and also the yarns that I have left. I think I've come up with 3 pairs of socks that will fit into my patterned, plain and colour work theme. So first off, plain sock for this round of vlogging will be this one, which is Fairy Lights in the sparkle version. I've got a sparkle and a non-sparkle version of this yarn. But anyway, here is my progress so far. I've just got the cuff and the start of the leg on the first sock. Plenty of yarn left to go. So this sock for this vlog will probably generally be my cinema knitting. I think I like to have a pair of plain vanilla socks on the go so that when I take trips to the movies, which I often do, I have something to knit on while I am there. Obviously the number of times I go to the cinema will determine how quickly this gets finished over the next couple of months. Pair number 2 for this vlog is from a skein of lovely, I think it's Trekking XXL or XL yarn that was sent to me by my lovely friend Caroline of the Colourful Creativity podcast. I started a pair of Waffle socks with this. So this one's going to be my patterned sock for this vlog. So the Waffle socks are, if you're not aware, are kind of like a broken rib type pattern, whereby you are knitting 2 plain rows and then 2 rows of 2x2 rib. I did cast these on the first day of my cast-ons, and this is how far I got. So it's fairly simple, intuitive pattern. I probably wouldn't want to knit these at the cinema because just keeping track of the 4-row pattern repeat in the dark might not be quite as straightforward. It's easy when you can see your knitting where you are, but yeah. This will probably be my keep these socks by my desk when I'm doing my video editing and stuff like that for the most part, or just when I want something simple in the evenings to keep my hands busy, but I don't want something that's sort of too complicated to think about. So that will be pair number 2 for this vlog. And then pair number 3 I haven't yet started. I have this yarn, which is the Silent Night colourway. Again, it's a sparkle yarn. This was one of the West Yorkshire Spinners colourways. I haven't weighed this yet. I'm not sure how much I've got left. I think I made a pair of socks for my mother-in-law using this yarn. I thought it would be fun to do my Colorwork socks using this yarn. So I have picked a pattern from this book, Charming Colorwork Socks by Charlotte Stone, and in the back of this somewhere, if I can find it, there are a pair of socks called the Christmas Eve Skies pattern, and this is what they look like in the pattern book. So as you can see, it's this kind of all over snowflake pattern. I have found a scrap of yarn, or a leftover from a previous project, and it's this light colour. It's almost got a sort of pinky tinge to it, and then there are pops of lilac and peach and a little bit of grey. So I'm going to be using this as my contrast, so I'm going to pop these two together. So I'm going to be dividing both of these balls in half so that I know exactly how far I can go with each sock. I think I'm probably going to attempt to start these later today. It's Sunday the 15th of June 2025 as I'm recording this. It's a lovely, beautiful sunny day here in South Wales. I'm going to actually head out of the house for a little bit this morning just to get some fresh air and some vitamin D. But at some point this evening I might do a little throwback to my cast on video for the Christmas socks. If you watch that video, I'll try and link it somewhere below. I actually sat on Christmas Eve and watched a whole bunch of Disney movies that I hadn't seen, so Disney animated movies, and I think I ended up casting on 4 pairs of socks in that video, and I basically just worked on the sock until the movie finished, and then I started the next pair of socks. So I thought it'd be fun to sort of nod back to that video, and this evening I'll pop on a Disney movie and I'll see how far I can get. Today I am heading out, as I've already mentioned, and I'm hoping to go to the Riverside Market in Cardiff. Happens every Sunday, like a little farmer's market, and I've never actually been before. Usually we have our grocery shopping delivered and it comes on a Sunday right slap bang in the middle of the day, and the market goes from I think 10 till 2, so yeah, our usual routine is not conducive to visiting that market. But James is away staying with his mum at the moment, and I haven't bothered to arrange a grocery delivery for myself this week, so I thought it would be a fun opportunity to go hop on a train, visit that market, and yeah, just have a little bit of a mooch in the sunshine. So I think I'm going to actually take my blueberry waffle sock out with me today for knitting while I'm on the train. It's only a 10-minute journey, 15-minute journey into Cardiff on the train from here where I live, but yeah, that's usually enough time for me to add a few rows. And because on a Sunday the trains only run once an hour, usually on a weekday we have the privilege of having 4 trains an hour into Cardiff, which is amazing, but it's only once an hour on a Sunday, so I figured there could be some time, particularly at the other end of my journey where I'm kind of hanging around waiting for the train back, so it'll be nice to have a sock project with me. Hey friends, it is the 14th of August as I am recording this. It's been a few months since I checked in for this vlog, sat and chatted in front of camera like this. And so I thought it would be a good opportunity to check in and share with you where I've got to on my 3 current Christmas socks. Now, I haven't had my Christmas socks on my official making list for June or July, I don't think. Maybe for June, I can't remember now. Certainly not in July and definitely not in August either. However, I have been working on them sort of in the background. As we know, socks are a great project just to sort of pick up and put down. So I have been able to make some progress on 2 of my 3 pairs of socks. First off, the blueberry waffle socks, which I'm knitting from the trekking yarn, and I've finished the first sock. This pair of socks I tend to keep by my laptop and I work on them when I'm video editing or answering emails, stuff like that. So yeah, sock number 1 is finished. I inserted some leftover sparkle yarn, which I've been using quite a lot in my Christmas socks. But I did that for the heel flap on that one. And I'm a good way along the second sock now too. I finished the leg, I've just finished putting in the heel flap, so I'm ready to pick up the stitches for the gusset and then work down the foot. I think maybe in a couple of weeks time this pair of socks will be finished. Did you see my aghast looking face? And I thought I'd pulled the stitches off the needles. I hadn't. But yeah, just a little way to go on that first pair of socks. The second pair that I've been working on is the Fairy Lights Sparkle colourway. Lots of sparkle going on in these Christmas socks. I have been using this mostly as my cinema knitting for the last month or so. And I think today, I went to the cinema this afternoon, I think today I've got to the point almost where I've got to put in the toe for this first sock. Again, I put in a contrast red for this. This is a little bit of leftover West Yorkshire spinners, and funnily enough I was rooting around when I got to the heel thinking, I know I've got some of that red sparkle yarn left, where has it gone? Because with this sparkle base I thought that would be a perfect heel to put in here, and I've completely forgotten that it was in the other little project bag with my Christmas socks by my laptop. So yeah, first sock on this one almost finished, and as I say, this is mostly my cinema knitting, so again I think another few trips to the cinema and this pair will probably be finished too. Pair of socks number 3 are going to be the Colorwork socks from the Charlotte Stone book. And I think when I started this vlog back in June, my plan was to cast this pair of socks on that same evening, and I never quite got round to it. But I've got an evening in the house to myself today. James has gone off on a work trip, so he's away this evening. So I figured now would be the perfect time to pop on a Disney movie and get this pair of socks started. As well as these 2 yarns that I originally pulled out, I've found, or I've got from my sort of leftovers, my solid colour sock yarns, I've got this lovely navy blue, so I might use that as the heels, toes and cuffs anyway, just to make these 2 stretch a little bit further. I'm going to see how far I can get while I am watching an older Disney movie that I haven't yet seen, and so I have picked out Hercules for today's movie. This one came out in 1997, and it seems a bit of a shame that I haven't seen this one, given that I studied classics at university. I can't quite believe that I've not watched the Hercules Disney version. Not sure when the last time I checked in for this vlog was, but I have got to the point on this very light sock where I need to put in the toe to finish off the first sock. It's Wednesday the 27th of August as I'm recording this, and I'd really like to go to the cinema this afternoon. In fact, I want to head out in a couple of hours. I don't know if I can get this toe finished and the cuff cast on for the second sock, but yeah, I'd really like to take this with me if I can. So I've got some video editing to do this morning. I'm currently trying to pull together my September making plans video. So I figure I can work on the toe while doing that video editing, and once I've done that, it'll be time to head out. So we'll see how far I get. I think it could be a case of me finishing off this toe on the train and then trying to cast on the second sock before I head into the dark of the cinema. Once the sock is cast on and I've done the first couple of rounds, it will be fine. I can do the cuff in the cinema, but yeah, I'm cutting it a bit fine. I probably should have pulled this out last night and checked where I was and maybe done a bit of work on it, but best laid plans and all that. I have a feeling last time I went to the cinema I was going to do it the evening that I came home, and I never got around to it. So yeah, them's are the breaks. Let's stop chatting, get knitting. I could have been knitting this while I was talking to you, couldn't I? Instead of just waving it around. Might have finished a row or two in the time that I've been chatting to you. Anyway, just waiting for my videos to download off of my SD card, which won't take too much longer. See how much we can get done. Hey lovely friends, it is the 1st of October as I'm recording this, and it's been, I think it was August the last time I checked in for this vlog, and I'm starting to feel the pinch now. We've got 3 months left of 2025 and I still have 6 pairs of socks to finish for this particular cast on, my Christmas socks, and I would really like to get them done. And on top of that, West Yorkshire Spinners have released their new Christmas colourway for this year as well. So I'm contemplating, which I know you're gonna all think I'm absolutely off my rocker, but I'm contemplating casting on a pair of socks with that new colourway as well, and kind of adding those to this project of knitting through all of my Christmas yarns. It's fine, you can roll your eyes, you can tell me I am absolutely off the wall. It's fine, I know. Anyway, I am heading out for most of the day today. I'm going to be meeting up with one of my lovely friends, Sally, for a bit of a catch up. We haven't seen each other for months, so we're going to go for a cup of tea. Then, depending on what time I've got left in the day, I'm hoping to hop on a train and go to the cinema, because I haven't been to the cinema for weeks. Just life has meant that I just haven't had the opportunity. So I'm contemplating taking 2 projects out with me today, which I don't usually do, but I've got my plain vanilla sock, the Fairy Light Sparkle, which I finished the leg and popped in the heel. I think the last time I showed this I was on my way back from a cinema, having just cast this on, and since then I've kind of dawdled around with it, and I've added a few more rows to finish off the leg, and I put in my heel flap, my heel turn, and picked up my stitches. So I'm just ready now to start decreasing that gusset and knit the leg of this. So I think I'm going to take this one for my cinema knitting. But while I'm sat with Sally in the cafe and I can actually sort of see what I'm knitting, I'm contemplating working on my second blueberry waffle sock, because I'm really close to the end of this one now. I think the last time I shared this, I had finished the heel flap and I hadn't yet even picked up the stitches for the foot. But this has been my next to my laptop knitting, which if you've watched the channel for any length of time, you know that when I'm doing video editing for these videos, I tend to have something simple on the go, because there'll be times where I'm just watching things back, or I'm waiting for videos to download and transfer from my camera to my computer. So yeah, I kind of have some simple knitting, pick up and put down knitting. These waffle socks have been that. I've also thrown them in my bag a couple of times for lunch break knitting when I'm at work, and I've managed to make a reasonable amount of progress on the foot of this. And if I have a quick look at my notes, I've got, I think, less than 20 rows to go before I put in my toe. Those are the plans for today. I'm taking out 2 socks. I don't usually like to take out too much knitting if I'm just wandering around for the day, but I feel like that's justifiable. Also, I realised, or at least I think I haven't reviewed the footage for a while, but I don't think I actually checked in after I cast on my Colorwork sock after I was watching that movie Hercules, which was okay. I really loved the older sort of animation style back from the 90s. I love the colours in that movie, but you know, it was so-so. And I do appreciate I am not Disney's demographic now, but yeah. I managed to knit the cuff, and I've done the first few rows of the Colorwork on that Snowflake sock. Not too far on that one, but I really need to pick up the pace. Through October, in my monthly making plans, I did pick socks for my use your brain prompt, because I've got several socks on the needles at the moment that are either patterned, have some colour work in them, are just not straightforward plain knitting. So I'm going to be working on this sock for sure this month, and I would really love to have all 3 of these pairs finished by the end of the month, but we'll see. I've got one other sock knitting priority for another make along that I'm working on that I need to get finished by the end of October as well. So so many projects and not enough time. Isn't that always the way? But we'll see how we go. We'll see how we go. I think this one's going to be quite interesting. I don't know how well it shows up, but there's lots of obviously flecks of colour in my sort of contrast yarn, peachy tones in the snowflakes, and the background is slightly variegated in that it's got some light blues and some dark blues. So yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see how much I love or don't this sock as it progresses. I had a really good sock knitting day yesterday. I finished my blueberry waffle sock, which is soaking and blocking downstairs at the moment, so I shall be sure to share that with you soon. I also almost finished the foot on my fairy light sock as well. I went to see a film that was about 2.5 hours long, so there was plenty of knitting time, and of course the train journeys there and back as well. I've only got a couple more stripes of this sort of colour repeat to work through. Probably an hour or less knitting left on this second sock now, so I'm getting really close. I'm not going to do that today, but it will get done soon. And then I just have my Colorwork sock to try and work through for the second part of this vlog. So yeah, from feeling like I had put a lot of pressure on myself with like 6 socks left to knit in the space of a day, I've almost finished 2 pairs of those 6. So yeah. Obviously I haven't knit 2 pairs of socks in a day, but I was much further on with these 2 pairs of socks than I thought. Yeah, I'm feeling a little bit happier again that my goal of getting these socks finished by the end of the year is doable. So fingers crossed, fingers crossed. Okay, it is finally time to properly tackle my snowflakes. I'm calling them my snowflake socks because, as per usual, I cannot remember what the actual pattern is called. Christmas Eve skies. I have finished the other 2 pairs of socks for this vlog, and I don't think I've yet shown them in a clip for this vlog, but what I think I'll probably do, if that's the case, I'm kind of second guessing myself as to what I've recorded and what I haven't. If I haven't shown them to you, then I think I'll save the finished sock reveal to the end of the video so you get to see all 3. There are 3 weeks left in October, I think. It'd be really nice if I could actually get these socks finished in October, because then that leaves me 3 pairs for November, December in my Christmas collection to try and get finished. But we'll see what the coming days and weeks bring. But this is my starting point today. It's a Saturday afternoon as I'm recording this. The 10th, I think, 10th, 11th of October, something like that. I've got to nip out this afternoon to run a couple of errands. I think when I get back, I'm going to try and add a few rows to this. I think this will be my afternoon project. It's definitely getting to be that time of year where daylight hours for recording are becoming fewer and fewer. Anyway, just a quick update on my Snowflake sock. I've reached the point now where I'm about to put in the heel. I can't remember whether I mentioned this the last time I recorded, but yeah, my edging stitches, they look okay from back here, but they're really loose and uneven. Not massively happy with that, but also I'm obviously not going to rip out this whole sock and redo them. I'm just going to hope that some of that unevenness blocks out when I soak these socks, and if it doesn't, they're just for me. They also look really wide compared to a normal sort of plain vanilla sock. I'm doing the 64 stitch sock equivalent, so you cast on 64 stitches but then you increase up to 72 stitches because Colorwork is not quite as stretchy as a normal sort of plain sock. Kind of cracks me up when I look at a sock like this because it looks like it would just not fit at all, but it should be absolutely fine. Anyway, I've reached the point where I need to put in a heel. This pattern recommends a short row heel, I think. I've not got a huge amount of either of my sort of two yarns left, so it's going to be interesting to see how far these go on the foot. I am going to put in a contrast heel, so I'm going to use this navy blue again. I'm really glad that I found this and decided to use it because I think I would be running really short of my Silent Night if I hadn't decided to add this in to my sock. Now once I get past the heel, I will obviously give this a try and make sure that it's fitting okay. When you get back to your foot, you go round and round again using this same chart on the top and the bottom of the foot. However, because I am knitting on a bigger needle than I usually would, and my stitches are not quite as sort of tight, my gauge is not quite as dense as it usually would be. There are some pieces on this chart where there are really long floats. I am considering just knitting the chart on the top of the foot and then maybe just doing like a checkerboard pattern or something on the bottom of the foot. Then I'm going to be changing my yarns more frequently, the tension will be a bit more consistent, and I feel like maybe that will give me a sock that's better wearing in the long term. Those are the kind of things that I'm turning over in my head at the moment. Quick check-in for my Christmas sock project, the Christmas Eve Skies. Yay, I remembered what it was called. I've popped in the heel, use that contrasting colour. I've knit a few rows down the foot, tried this on, and it's fitting fine. Did decide to change the bottom, so I'm doing a sort of 2x2 Colorwork grid on the bottom, and this is making for a much denser fabric, which I think will work better for the bottom of the foot, which is often where my socks wear through. Ball of my foot is often where I get holes or thin patches on my socks, so I think having that grid is going to be much better in terms of the longevity of this sock. The next hurdle I am coming up against is I only have this much left of my contrasting yarn. That's only going to be enough for a few more rows. I went rummaging around my scraps box, and knowing that I didn't have anything quite like this, I thought I'd look for just a neutral colour. So I found this sort of cream colour, but I've also found this, which is a creamy colour base with sort of green and yellow flecks in it. What I've done is I've grabbed the other ball of my yarn from my project bag. If I hold these together, you can see they're not a very close colour match. The light is awful, sorry. So I decided to cast on a little swatch, alternating my yarns, just to see what I thought might look best. I thought it would be easier to do a little swatch than to start knitting into this and then have to frog back if I didn't like it. So this is what I've got. There's loads of ends hanging off of this and yarns attached to it because I want to just rip this out. But I did the first few rows here where I'm alternating the two speckly yarns, and while I did like this, it's become a bit more sort of confetti rainbow sprinkles, which I don't necessarily think kind of fits in with the cool tones on this sock. The top few rows I alternated my sort of contrast yarn with the neutral yarn, and I like that a lot better. It's a little bit more calming. It's still sort of giving cool wintry vibes to me. I'm going to go with alternating these two till my first choice contrast runs out, and then I shall finish off whatever I need to do on the sock with this cream colour yarn, and hopefully that will be enough to do both of the socks. That's what I'm going to do, and we'll see how far we get. I think, having tried this on, and given that it's on a slightly bigger needle, sort of slightly different gauge than my normal sort of vanilla sock or standard sock that I knit for myself, I think if I do, so the chart is 32 rows, and I think if I do another chart repeat, another 32 rows, I'm going to be fairly close to the length that I need for my foot. As long as that is the case, I will probably start the toe after the next chart repeat, even if it means I've got to knit a few rows and in my contrast colour and then do the toe, so it'll be sort of like a slightly longer colour, a slightly bigger colour block at the end. Yeah, I think my plan is just to do one more pattern repeat. Oh my goodness, in front of me I've got 2 balls of yarn attached to my sock, 3 balls of yarn attached to my swatch. It's just ends everywhere. But at least I have a plan. Hello lovely people, I am sitting in James's office, so I'm not sure if this is a background you would have seen in any of my videos before, not that it really makes any difference, but yeah, that's just where I am working today. Time has moved on, as it always does. It is now the 31st of October, so happy Halloween to everyone, not that this video is going to go up in time for that, but I have been working away on my Christmas Eve sky socks, but I haven't really checked in for a little while. So I've finished sock number 2. I obviously swapped into my creamy coloured yarn. I alternated for a few rows and then I switched to the cream when I ran out of the original colour that I picked. And then I decided I wanted to use as much as I could of the Silent Night colourway. I've literally used all of the first half of my Silent Night colourway, and I ended up just having to put in a few rows of my contrast for the end of the toe. So this is a little bit of a mixed matched sock, all told, with all of the kind of different elements. But that is one of the fun challenges of working with leftovers, scrappy yarns, things that you've sort of just got hanging around, is that sometimes you have unexpected challenges to face to be able to finish your project. But I'm more than happy with how this sock is looking. I did say earlier in the video that I wanted to try and finish these socks by the end of October. Sock number 2 is definitely coming along. I've got about 16 rows of colour work left. I think I am halfway through my last pattern repeat. And then of course the toe. However, I'm working this morning until lunchtime, and then I'm driving across the country this afternoon. It's going to be about a 4.5 hour drive. So I don't know if this is doable or not. I've got one work meeting this morning where I might be able to add a few rows to my sock while I'm participating in that meeting. But other than that, I'm not sure what time I get. So hopefully I'll get it finished this evening. Part of me doesn't really want to take this sock with me because it's like extra stuff to take on our weekend away. It's a very whirlwind weekend, driving to Kettering to see James's grandpa and then driving James's mum back up to Yorkshire and then coming back down to Cardiff. So there's going to be lots of time in the car and not much crafting time. But yeah, I also just want to get this finished, and I want to get it finished today to meet my own self-imposed deadline. So yeah, I'm going to take the sock with me and see if I can manage to get it done. One thing I wanted to say, which I keep forgetting to say, is if I was going to knit this sock again, I'd obviously try to do something to make my edges a little bit more even. But also, because I decided to switch out the bottom of the sock to this kind of like 2x2 sort of Colorwork grid, it's affected the side of my sock on the foot. Because of the way that the Colorwork chart is written, I didn't really twig this when I did my first sock. It might be a little bit easier to show you on the finished sock. But on one side of the sock, I've got this solid line of my contrast colour. But because I did not repeat the chart on the bottom, I don't have it on the other side. I've got like the sort of alternating thing. So I should have put one stitch down this side of my contrast colour to match this. So if I ever knit this sock again and made the same modification, I might sort of think about that. But also I'm not that mad because I figure these could be like the inside or the outside of my socks and I'll have like a left and a right sock. But yeah, it was just kind of a quirky detail that I didn't really twig was going on until I'd mostly finished the foot on the first sock. And then of course I wasn't going to rip back and sort it out. Just an aside, something to mention. Right, okay, I'm going to stop chatting so I can log on to work, and I'll just see. I'm determined. 16 rows and a few rows of the toe. I can do this, right? I did it! Yay! Sock number 2 I finished on the 31st of October. It is, of course, a few days later as I'm recording this final entry for this vlog. I did manage to finish the sock on that day. You'll just have to take my word for it. And this one, I managed to complete the whole of the toe with the Silent Night colourway, which is quite fun. You might remember I only had a few rounds of the contrast colour on that second. So these socks are obviously a pair, but they're definitely sisters and not twins. I ended up running out of my contrast colour a lot earlier on the second sock. So around about here, you can see some sort of like tinges of pink from my contrast. Whereas on this sock, I was right up here before I ran out. So I didn't do the best of jobs at dividing my yarn in two. But that's just the way it goes when you're trying to use what you have. All 3 pairs of my socks for this vlog are finished. My vanilla socks from the Fairy Lights colourway, the sparkle version. My blueberry waffle socks from the Trekking XXL yarn. That was a lovely gift from the wonderful Caroline. And then of course my Christmas Eve Skies Colorwork socks, all done. I feel like I should maybe try these on and do a little sock montage for the very end of this video. Don't know that I have a huge amount to say. Obviously you have been following along on the sock knitting adventures with me. You have seen the trials and tribulations as we've gone on, only really with this final sock where I was being scrappy and using up bits and pieces, and the sort of amendments and the changes that I made due to that, and obviously the change that I made to the bottom of the sock as well. It's really interesting to me that I still can't quite figure out why I ended up with such a messy side at the top of the sock. Obviously I know it's to do with tension and how I'm holding my yarns, but I just did not run into that problem at the bottom of the sock where I changed. I've got quite a nice, neat, even edge both sides of this. And I've knit Colorwork socks before, so I know I can do a reasonable job at tensioning my yarn as I switch between needles. I knit my socks magically, as you probably noticed. So what it is, or was, about this particular pattern on the side, this 3 stitch pattern, that I just could not get the tension right for, I do not know. It's interesting. My stitches have evened out a little bit in the blocking, but it's still not perfect. I'm thinking if I were to knit this sock again, as I've mentioned, I would probably change how I do my edge stitch for the bottom of the sock. But if I were to substitute in this grid pattern again. But I think also if I were to knit this sock again, I might just change the positioning of the stitches on my needles so that all 3 of these stitches are on one needle. At the edges, 2 stitches formed sort of the end of the chart, and then 1 stitch was on the beginning of the chart, if that makes sense, and it obviously makes the pattern as you kind of go round and round. And I think I might change it so all 3 of those stitches were at one end of the chart, and maybe that might help with the issues that I had there. But as I say, I've no idea really, and it happened on both socks, so it's obviously something that I'm doing. Of course it is. No one else is knitting these socks. You know what I mean, hopefully. Just curious detail. So yeah, 3 more Christmas socks are done. Yay! So that's 6 down, 3, 4 to go. 3 if I go by my original 9 pairs, but I have decided to cast on the mulled wine colourway, which is this year's West Yorkshire Spinner sock. So there are 4 more socks to come in the final part of this vlog whenever I get to publish that. Obviously that is determined by when I finish those socks. So wish me luck. It is the very beginning of November as I'm recording this, so I have 2 months to finish my 4 pairs of Christmas socks if I want to get them off of the needles by the end of 2025, and I really do. Let me know in the comments below what you have been making recently. What have you finished? Are you knitting socks for Christmas, either for yourself or for other folks in your life? I would love to know. Do you have any fun festive sock patterns that you would like to recommend to me as well? I would love to know that. I will of course be back again soon with some more making content, so I hope you will join me for the next video. But until we do get to spend time together again, I hope you get to do some of the things that you enjoy. Great big woolly hugs to you all. I shall leave you with a little bit of a sock wearing montage. Bye for now.